What's up, everybody? Arrg the Pirate here, and today I'm going to go over the Community Corner number 26 and do my typical Saturday breakdown. Now, this was a longer Community Corner, but they didn't really come out with a whole lot of information. They did kind of discuss the patch notes and things like that, which that's cool. I'm glad we kind of got an idea of what's happening, but I'm not going to trust what they've said because of that, and we'll get to why I'm not trusting their numbers on this in a minute. But yeah, they did do a breakdown and kind of talked about a handful of changes that are coming up with not only heroes, but within the cards as well. Now, the first thing we've got to talk about is Shadow's Eve. Shadow's Eve starts next week, which is kind of typically the Halloween event. You know, I'm sure there's a reason we're not calling it Halloween, but it is basically the Halloween event. You can get these, you know, cosmetic, like, dress-up costumes. There were 6 or 7 last year. I can't remember them all. You know, I think there was a Bellica, there was a Murdoch, there was a Chimera, and a Grux. I can't remember. There's a handful of them. Like I said, I think there was 6 or 7, and we're getting an additional 3, and those are going to be for Narbash, Yin, and Wukong. Now, along with the new skins, we are getting a new type of chest. It's called the Shadow's Eve chest, and I'm sure it's going to run for the 21 days that Shadow's Eve is going to be live. And when you complete a match, you have a chance of getting one of these chests, and within these chests, they drop all of the skins, so all 10 of the skins, including the 3 new ones. There are 3 new banners, so for each of the new skins, the Wukong, Yin, and Narbash, they also have banners that kind of show off those skins, I guess. Which, you know, that sounds cool, that's neat, we're getting some new banners. And these chests also have a chance of, you know, they drop the normal, typical stuff we're getting now. They didn't really say what tier they're going to be on. I would assume it'd be Diamond, you know, you get 5 rewards, but, you know, that's just me guessing. Now, along with that, there's going to be a 25% discount on spooky skins, and the spooky skins are kind of the dress-up skins, you know, there's, like, the Chimera skin that has, you know, your Grux head on, and, you know, just a few of the skins, you know, it's basically a skin sale. And so, you know, it is what it is. Now, they are also giving away chests through Twitch. So if you watch Paragon on Twitch, you have a chance of getting these skins. You know, they've got a little bot that sits in Twitch streams and, you know, randomly gives out chests, or I guess codes for chests, things like that, which, you know, that's pretty cool. Just, hey, here you go for watching the game, for participating in it. That's really awesome. Now, the last thing that's kind of going on with Shadow's Eve is there is a story/art contest. You create a little short story with a little bit of art, and, you know, I'm sure the winner's going to get something. You know, that's neat. If you're into that type of, you know, kind of art thing, this might be right up your alley, and definitely try it out. You know, there is a winner, so, you know, it might be you. Now, before I move on, I'd like to talk about the data points of Unstable Cyborg. Last week, they said, you know, it was in 1.5% of matches and this and that, and they were completely wrong. They admit that this week, and, you know, anybody that's played Paragon knew that they were wrong, you know, and I think they're spending a little too much time focusing on Fortnite when they really need to fix Paragon, but that's beside the point. You know, they were just way off on Unstable Cyborg, and, you know, I've been playing in lower elo matches with a lot of my subs, and, man, this card's in almost every single match, too. I usually don't run it, and, you know, if you see in this video, I don't even have access to it. So I haven't been running it, but the enemy team's almost always got it on, and our steel support, he's got it on. You know, it's in almost every match. They were just completely wrong about that, and that is why I'm not going to break down the heroes and cards changes based on the information they gave us in the community corner, because, hey, if I can't trust y'all's information, which, you know, I said last week, I was like, hey, man, I think that's wrong, but okay, I'll agree with it. And then you turn around and say, hey, we were wrong. How can I trust any of your other data that you're giving me? So I just really wanted to throw that out there before I get into anything else. Now, moving on from Shadow's Eve, we are kind of getting into the more meat of the community corner. And the first thing I bring up is character or hero changes. Now, they go over them briefly and, kind of talk about them, but they didn't talk about everybody. And, with the misinformation that we've got in the past, I would rather wait until the patch notes come out to fully go over them. But I'm just going to briefly go over these are being changed. And so the first thing that's being changed is ability armor defense is being increased for everybody but steel. And this is being done to kind of, I guess, nerf ability damage. Which, it's not really a nerf, but everybody's getting stronger. So it kind of is a nerf. And the reason Steel's not getting it is because of his passive with ability armor. And, hey, I think that's fair. Carries are also getting kind of a blanket buff. And that's kind of explained in the card changes. But we'll talk about that in a second. Carries are getting a damage increase, which, I guess I'll talk about that whenever I get to the card changes. Now, they talked about 4 heroes that are getting nerfed, and that's Aurora, Fang, Quang, and Bellica. Which, with the changes, I think these changes might be good. That, like I said, they did go over them, but I'm going to wait for the patch notes to really dive deep into them. Next, we have card changes. Now, we are going to see a change to tanks. Not the heroes themselves, but the cards that make them tanky. For example, Unbroken Spirit is getting a power nerf, which I think it really needs one. As well as Numbing Rogue, which Numbing Rogue is getting hit a little bit harder. But like I said, I want to wait till the patch notes, so I'm not giving out misinformation. But Numbing Rogue, they said, is switching from a power card to a health card. So now, putting this card on to get it's a 9-point card and you can put it on. It had a decent amount of power. It's now just going to be health. So it's definitely more of a tank card. And this is really a card that kind of belongs on a tank. Steel with Numbing Rogue is really hard to deal with. They also said that the attack speed is being reduced from 25% to 20%. But again, I want to wait for the patch notes. Shatter Golem and Heavy Hitter are both receiving power reductions. And they kind of blanketed and said all the cards that ADCs just always use are getting power nerfs. And that's in hopes to make it where there's more variety in builds. I've done a handful of videos on ADC test and what is the best deck, and Shatter Golem Hellfire with Heavy Hitter is by far the strongest build that you can make. And, there are some pretty decent cards out there like Trapper. Trapper's a decent card, but it's miles behind when you're just talking about straight damage. And that's typically what ADCs want to go for, is straight damage. You don't want near as much necessity or utility, because you allow your team to have the utility cards and your job is to, crank out the damage. So we'll see some changes and hopefully they'll be positive. Now, Static Trap is also getting an update, as well as Cryo Agent. Both of these cards will be receiving, little tweaks, and hopefully that will make them more viable. And, I'm really ready for that. We've kind of gotten to a state within Paragon that, hey, these are the cards everybody uses. And although I try to, make these crazy decks and try out decks that people don't really use, there are a handful of cards that it's like, hey, I've got this on every deck. Like Growth Totem, I've got that on almost every single deck just because it's a great card. I might not keep it, but it's definitely my, mid-game card. Moving on from that, we have our first question. And the question is, why don't we let the meta settle and then make changes? And, the first thing that runs through my mind whenever I hear that is this a real question? I think the meta is set up right now. I think tanks are king. The ADC, you can have in between, you can run a sustained build, which you have these, a choice between these two cards, or you can have a high damage build, and the high damage build is these 3 cards, period. And so I really don't see how we don't have a meta. I really think that, we're set in stone with the amount of cards and things like that. There's a handful of cards that are being used, like Growth Totem. Growth Totem is used by, 7 out of the 10 heroes on the team. The casters, it doesn't matter what caster you have, you run this deck. Sure, you can run Growth and Intellect on a caster, get that Apex Predator, and it's really not a bad card, but Death is king on casters, and if you want to experiment and play around, yeah, that's great, but you're not going with the meta when you do that. And the meta is already there. If you try these other decks out, you're going against it. So I just don't really see that this is a viable question. I think the meta is there. It's been there for a while, pretty much since the second week of V42. These handful of cards have been used on these heroes if you want to play, hyper competitive and you're not trying out new things. People found out that Unbroken Spirit was, the best tank card in the game pretty early on, and it has not changed, even though it's been nerfed. Now that kind of brings me to my next point, and the next point is they think we're very close to being a card balanced game. Now, I can agree with you on we're close to being in a balanced game, but I don't think Paragon will ever be, hey, anybody can play the cards that they feel best with and still play competitively. I think, there will always be a card meta. I felt that in the previous versions of Paragon, back version 40, when we had 60 card points, I felt you could really customize your hero. Sure, there weren't all these crazy amounts of passives like they are now, but let's say I'm playing Sparrow and I want to do 70% crit with, the rest in power, but I want 5 attack speed. I could do that. I was completely capable of doing that. And you might build the exact same deck, the exact same cards as me, but instead you go with 2 more, points into attack speed. To me, that was customizable. There wasn't a solid meta. Sure, you could judge a curve, but, I might miss more hits than you, so I want a little more attack speed. That type of thing. That made it customizable to me. And with this new card system, to me, that customization has completely gone away. And there will always be, this is the build. These are the cards you need. This is the best deck out there. And, that's it. That's what you should get. And I don't see that changing. Even if they balance the cards, there will still always be, these are the cards you need. And that might be what they're going for, but getting away from the card meta will never end. I don't know if I'll ever change my mind, but I felt there was way more customization in the previous versions of Paragon than there ever will be with only having 12 cards, especially since, like I said, the ADC build, I might like going attack speed right off the bat instead of power. And sure, you have that ability now since they changed Sand Speeder and Nitro Boost. Now you have the option at 3 points to pick which cards you want, but at 5 points, you don't have that option at all. At 5 points, if you don't pick up Guard Piercer, you're doing it wrong. And I don't know. I really hope that we get to a balance, but I don't think we're anywhere close right now. Now, the PlayStation 4 chat bug is being fixed in 43.3, so that's something to look forward to. And they are still working on bug fixes, so just be prepared. They even mentioned that there's a bug going around where you can't use PS4 controllers on PC, which I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, apparently there's a bug with it. And that's really it. Besides the Shadow's Eve and the changes and everything, this was a pretty light week. They didn't really talk about just a whole lot within Paragon. And, you know, it is what it is. We are getting a huge patch in 43.3, and we'll just really have to wait for the patch changes to make sure all that information is correct. And I will definitely break that down like I typically do and get that out to y'all. Now, before I wrap this video up, I'd like to talk about Wraith in the off lane. That's kind of the last thing that was mentioned was, you know, we've been playing Wraith in the off lane and we're having success and he's fun in the off lane. And, you know, okay, I can agree with that. You're having fun playing the hero. But the reason Wraith is in such a bad place right now is because Wraith he's not good at a single job. Take, for example, someone like Kallari. Kallari is good at 2 jobs. She can be a jungler, she can be a offlaner. You know, you might be able to carry her, but there's way better options than carry. You know, mid lane, she's probably going to get pretty harassed, you know, if you're on an even playing field. This, of course, is not, if you're, you know, 100 miles above the enemy's skill level, yeah, you're going to dominate. But that's true for anything. But Kallari is very good at, you know, 2 jobs. Someone like Grux, very good at 2 jobs. Someone like Seraph, you know, Seraph can do safe lane well, she can do off lane well, she can jungle well. She's got 3 jobs. You know, mid lane and support for Seraph is not good options. And we've kind of got that, you know, that's kind of the philosophy with almost every hero within Paragon. They're good at 1 or 2 jobs. There's a couple of heroes out there that are only good at 1 job. You know, someone like Zinx, which is, you know, another really bad hero. But someone like Wraith, he's not good at a single job. He's okay at all of them. And, you know, that really means he's just okay. You know, he can do every job, but he's going to let you down. You'd have been way better off by having, you know, a better team. Or, you know, a better hero. And I think that really, I think that needs to be established when creating new heroes. Go, okay, I'm going to play this hero in the safe lane or in the off lane. This is what I'm good at, and that's it. You know, focus on those, and then maybe when you release him, so people find success elsewhere. But that hero has a specific job. Look at Countess. Countess was designed for the off lane. No one played her in the, no one's playing her in the off lane now. I started playing, I've always liked Countess, but the first few times I played her, I was like, wow, she's terrible in the off lane. Like, why does anybody play her in the off lane? She's great in mid lane. She's a caster. You know, she's got really good escape compared to a lot of the other casters besides, you know, maybe Gideon. But she can dodge all those, you know, burst abilities. She's really fun in the mid lane, and she's successful there. So we developed a new type of strategy for her once she was out. But she was designed for a specific goal in mind. You know, she can attempt the jungle, but she's not good at it. She's not a support. She's not a carry. She's a burst caster. So they designed her for a specific job, and she's good at it. Wraith, you know, you can see that they don't know where he is. They've tried him in every position, support, off lane, mid lane, and he's not good at any of them. You know, they've recently tried to make him a carry, and he's not. You know, if you're good with him, yeah, you're a great carry. But he doesn't have one job that he succeeds at, and I think that's where he's lacking. So hopefully we can see some changes within Wraith and actually find him a home. I think a little bit of a restructure needs to happen. I think they should remove some of his basic damage and add some ability damage to him. Turn him into a caster, or do the opposite. Turn him into a carry. Get rid of some of his ability damage and make him full basic damage. You know, turn him into a hero that can succeed instead of a hero that's just okay at a bunch of different things. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. I'm sorry I rambled about Wraith. I really hope this community corner helped. And if you have any opinions or concerns about anything, definitely let me know down in the comments. Love talking Paragon with y'all guys. Well, Thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy, show me some love, leave me a comment, think about subscribing, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.